Good evening, everybody. So, I am Shraddha Bhatia and we are going to start our maths class today. और हमारा टॉपिक होने वाला है rectangle, square, triangle, which is a part of the chapter cart and wheels. So, इधर हम पढ़ेंगे about the shapes, different shapes. तो हमारी लाइफ में बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंट शेप्स हम देखते हैं. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल हमारे पास जो हम ज्योमेट्री बॉक्स या फिर पेंसिल बॉक्स हम यूज़ करते हैं, दैट इज़ ऑफ सम शेप. एंड देन इफ़ वी wear a bangle or if your mother wears a bangle, it is of different shape. And if you go to some park and if you see that there are only three sides of that park, that means it has some different shape, which is triangle. So हमारी लाइफ में बहुत डिफरेंट शेप्स हमें दिखती हैं. So आप में से किसी ने कभी बैंगल पहना है? So how does it look? It looks like a circular shape. So it's basically a circle. Similarly, if we consider our geometry box or pencil box, it is of the shape rectangle. It's rectangular in shape. Okay, and then even our notebooks, जो हम notebooks use करते हैं, उनकी भी shape rectangle होती है और कईयों की square होती है. तो आज हम पढ़ेंगे about different shapes. So as you can see here, the yellow figure. So the yellow figure, this one is your square. So this is known as a square. So if you look at this figure completely, what can we see? That this figure has four sides. So can we see the four sides? I have just highlighted them. So these are the four sides of a square. And we can see that this square has four equal sides. That means अगर हम हर साइड देखें इस स्क्वायर की, सारी इक्वल लेंथ की है. Even if you take a ruler and if you measure the sides, they are going to come out as equal. तो इसमें हम देख सकते हैं कोई भी साइड किसी से बड़ी या छोटी नहीं है, isn't it? तो आप सब बच्चे भी कुछ स्क्वायर शेप की चीज़ एक्सपीरियंस करिए and try to measure its size. I mean the sides of the square. So the measurement would come out to be equal, and that is the property of a square. So the first thing about a square is that its all sides are equal. Also, all sides are parallel to each other. I mean the opposite sides over here, this and this, are parallel to each other. Parallel का मतलब जो कभी intersect ना करे. So if I draw lines like that, they are never going to intersect because these are parallel. They go in one direction and they never meet each other. So these are known as parallel lines, whereas intersecting lines are going to be this. So they are intersecting at a point. So इसमें अगर हम देखें तो ये opposite side और ये वाली जो side है, ये two opposite sides जो हैं, ये कभी meet नहीं करेगी. If you extend these sides, like if you put a line across like that and a line across like that, they are never going to intersect. That means these are two parallel lines. And similarly, अगर हम ये sides को consider करें, these are also parallel. That means a square has two sets of parallel lines. So this and this are parallel to each other, this and this are parallel to each other. So the first property जो हमने पढ़ी was that all sides are equal. So if you measure anything which is in a square shape, the measurements are going to be same. And the second property is that the opposite sides are parallel. And the third property of a square is that if you measure the angle of a square, angle का मतलब है जहाँ ये दो lines मिलती हैं, तो कौन सा एंगल फॉर्म हो रहा है? दैट इज अ 90 डिग्री एंगल. ओके, सो ये वाले को हम बोलेंगे दिस इज़ अ 90 डिग्री एंगल, दिस इज़ ऑल्सो अ 90 डिग्री एंगल. जब आप सब बड़े हो गए एंड यू विल लर्न हाउ टू यूज़ अ प्रोट्रैक्टर, तो आपको पता चलेगा दैट ये ऑल ऑफ दीज साइड्स आर 90 डिग्रीज. I mean the angles are 90 degrees. So that means जो square है that is a polygon, a four-sided polygon having all sides equal. Now what is a polygon? Let me write this name over here. I'm talking about this word which is polygon. A polygon is a closed shape. So we can see that this square is closed. It is not opened from any side. So this is a polygon and it is a four-sided polygon. That means it has four sides. So a square is basically four-sided polygon which has these different properties. Now let's study about its area. Now if we need to find the area of square, let me write the word here. So we are going to study about area of square. Now if we read about this word area of any figure is the space that it occupies in two dimensions. That means the whole yellow part is your area. Okay, so it is something which is being occupied by a figure, some space. So since square is a flat space, so we are going to find the area of square, and area of square would be side times the side. Now since every side is equal, so you can just multiply the side with itself to find the area of the square. Let me take one example for that. Let's say the side of this square is 3 centimeters. That means as we've studied before कि अगर एक side 3 centimeter होगी तो बाकी सारी sides भी same होंगी, because that is the property of the square. So that would be 3 centimeters. I'm going to write it here as well. 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters. Now if we need to find the area of square, I told you before that the area of square is side into side, या फिर side multiplied with itself. That means 3 multiplied with itself. That means 3 centimeter times with 3 centimeter. तो इसका आंसर क्या हो सकता है? Does anybody know that what is 3 times 3? Would anybody like to answer? So if you check the 3 times table, 3 times 3 gives you 9. So here the area of the square will be 9. And what about the units? We had 3 centimeters multiplied with 3 centimeters. So centimeters and centimeters are going to make centimeter square. So basically the area for the square would be 9. And that's how we find the area of the square, that is side times or multiplied with the side. S stands for the side. So this is going to be the formula for area of square. Now let's talk about the perimeter of the square. Let me write this word here. So the word perimeter is very useful in this chapter, because perimeter is nothing but the sum of the lengths of every side. And the perimeter is same for every figure, be it triangle, be it rectangle, be it square. So the perimeter is always the sum of the sum of the sides of the figure. So it is going to be 1 second. So this is I'm just going to write the perimeter over here. Perimeter is equals to sum of the sides of the figure. So over here, since the figure is the square, and if we need to find the perimeter of the square, which has 3 centimeter as the side length, so the sum of the sides of the figure, or the sum of the lengths of every side of the figure of the square, would be 3 added to 3. So we're going to add all the lengths. So this 3 added to this 3 added to this 3 added to this 3. So since perimeter is कि आपको हर एक साइड की लेंथ को ऐड करना है उस फिगर की, तो यहाँ पे सिंस सारी साइड्स की लेंथ 3 सेंटीमीटर है, तो हम 3 सेंटीमीटर्स एडेड टू 3 सेंटीमीटर्स एडेड टू 3 सेंटीमीटर्स एडेड टू 3 सेंटीमीटर्स करेंगे, एंड वी आर गोइंग टू गेट द रिजल्ट एज 3 added to 3 is 6, added to 3 is 9, added to 3 is 12. So 12 centimeters is going to be the area, the perimeter for the square. So let me write it here, which is equals to 12 centimeter. So I hope आप सबको clear हो गया कि हम area of square और perimeter of square कैसे निकालते हैं. हमें बस sides की length पता होनी चाहिए. तो अगर अभी कभी भी if you come across any notebook or any copy that is similar as the shape of a square, you can try this activity over there. What you can do is you can take a ruler. You must be knowing how to measure the side of the figure. So you can take one ruler and you can measure the sides of the square, measure every side and write it near to it, and then you can find the area of that notebook, and also you can or a page, maybe a squared page, or so you can also find the perimeter of the squared page or notebook. So सबको ये activity घर पे try करनी है. Can anybody give me some more examples of the figures which you can see in your daily life which are in the shape of a square? Let's think of some more figures. Maybe a foil paper. So you usually your mothers packs your tiffin in a foil paper, and it must or might be in the shape of a square. So you can try this activity over there. You can measure every side of the square or the foil paper in the square shape, and then you can find the area, and then you can find the perimeter. So this is the homework for today, and you need to try this. Now let's come on to the second figure, which is known as a rectangle. So let's first discuss कि आप लोगों ने अपनी लाइफ में rectangular shape में क्या क्या देखा है. Think of some objects. Everybody, every elder person in our home certainly has a cell phone. So if you see the figure of or the shape of the cell phone, it is always a rectangular shape. You all must be using a cell phone of your mother or your father, because every person is also fond of using cell phones every day, especially the children these days. So if you closely look at the figure of your cell phone, you can see that it has a shape of a rectangle. So this is one of the examples. And if you consider your bed, the upper level or the upper surface of your bed or your bed sheet is also in rectangular shape, but it is too large, too massive to deal with. So let's come on to some smaller examples. Again, one of the best examples of this could be your pencil box. It is definitely in the shape of a rectangle, and it's not a square one. then you can go home and explore more things. और जब आप घर से आओगे तो आप ये देख कर आना कि आपके आसपास रेक्टेंगुलर शेप में क्या क्या है, and make note for that. You can take a copy and your pencil and you can give me 10 examples of things which you can see in the rectangular shape. And once you have done it, then you can explore its area and perimeter, because every figure has its area and perimeter. Just like हमने square में निकाला, तो area of the square had the formula as side times side. The perimeter for that figure was sum of the length of all the sides. So rectangle maybe perimeter is going to be the same, because it's going to be the perimeter for any figure is going to be the sum of the length of the sides. So perimeter same way से निकलेगा, हमें बस sides की length पता होनी चाहिए, and then we can go for finding it, and then perimeter is that, and then we are going to find the area of rectangle later. But first let us study ki what is a rectangle. So this is how a rectangle looks. So if you can see it here, I have made a tick mark over here. This is a rectangle. As you can see, it is really different from a square. The square is in yellow, the rectangle is in blue, and is really different from a square. Now, can anybody tell me what are the different points you can find in a square and a rectangle, or what are the differences which you can find in a square and a rectangle? I'm giving you a minute to think, and then we'll discuss that. So you guessed it right. A rectangle is clearly a figure that does not have same lengths. As you can see, this length is shorter than this length and this length. Similarly, this length is shorter than this length and this length. Or we can just say that these larger lines are clearly bigger than these smaller lines. So in a rectangle, we clearly have two small lines and two larger lines. So again, a rectangle can be defined as a four-sided polygon. Again, why did I use the word four? Because it has four sides. It's really easy. And why did I use polygon? Because I told you in the very start of the session that a polygon is a closed figure. Okay, so this is a closed figure. We cannot see any opening out there. So it's a closed figure and it has four sides. So this is to be called as a polygon. So a rectangle is a four-sided polygon which has few properties which are different than a square. So the very first property is that it has the opposite sides in the equal length. So here we need to be very careful about this thing, that not every side is equal, only the opposite sides are in equal length. So even if you just calculate and take a ruler, and if you calculate this side, and if you calculate this side, I mean this side and this side, they're going to be measured same. And if you calculate the length of this side and this side, they are going to come out to be the same. But if you measure this side and this side, I mean the longer one, the shorter one, then of course certainly these are not going to be same. So a rectangle is a four-sided polygon which has the opposite sides as equal, and also as we discussed about the parallel lines. So if you remember, the parallel lines are the lines which do not intersect. Can anybody find the pairs of parallel lines over here? So we need to guess those lines which will never intersect. Can you give me those pairs of parallel lines? Let's have a look at the figure of the rectangle very, very closely. हम इसको ध्यान से देखते हैं और हमें ऐसी चीज़ें फिगर आउट करनी है, जो ऐसी लाइंस फिगर आउट करनी है जो कभी मिले ना, पैरेलल हो. As you can see clearly, this line and this line, if we extend these lines, I'm sorry my lines are not that straight because I do not have a straight line tool, but if we extend these lines, I am really sure that they are never going to meet. And if we extend these lines, you can try at your home, they are never going to meet again. So the shorter sides are parallel to each other, whereas the longer sides are parallel to each other. So we have two pairs of parallel sides as well. Now, coming on to the angles of rectangle. Going back to the square, if you remember, the angles were these, which I had made in a circular shape, a bit curvy shape. So angles are where the two lines meet. So we can see that these two lines are meeting at this point. So I've made an angle over here. Similarly, these two lines are meeting here. So I've made an angle over here as well. ये भी इधर मिल रही हैं, तो इसको join करने वाले को हम angle बोलेंगे. Similarly with this one. तो of course rectangle भी polygon है, closed figure है, तो इसके भी angles होंगे. So if you measure the angles, or as you grow up, and if you measure these angles using a protractor, it is going to be very clear that the angles measure 90 degrees. Because any line that looks like that goes up straight and then goes right straight without bending, without turning. So the angle becomes 90 degree, and it'll be really clear if you use a protractor as you grow up and if you measure the angles. So the angles of the rectangle again measure 90 degrees. So this can be the similarity between square and a rectangle. So ये चीज़ जो है ये same हो सकती है square rectangle में. So I think ये only चीज़ है जो कि सेम है रेक्टेंगल में. ऑल्सो ये चीज़ भी सेम है कि ऑपोजिट लाइंस पैरेलल हैं. इसमें भी आपकी ऑपोजिट लाइंस पैरेलल थी और इसमें भी आपकी ऑपोजिट लाइंस ही पैरेलल हैं. So these two things are similar between a square and a rectangle. The only thing which is different is their lengths. A square is a thing which has all the sides equal, and a rectangle is the one which has two sides, like the opposite sides are equal to each other. That's how a rectangle looks. Coming on to the area of rectangle. Now, as I said, the perimeter of both of the figures can be calculated with the same formula, but the area cannot. So let us see what the area could be. So for finding the area, let us assume the sides of the rectangles to be, I'm just taking random sides, random lengths. So since this is the larger one, I'm taking this to be as, maybe I'm going to take this as 5. I'm going to take this as well as 5. The units are centimeters everywhere. I'm not going into meters. And here I'm going to take the length as 3. I was about to write 2, but I think 3 is fair. So 3. Let me just put centimeters over here. So I'm putting the units the same everywhere because the units can't be different. If you're choosing one unit, everything has to be in that unit only. तो मैंने इसकी साइड्स अज्यूम करी हैं. ये मेरी एक अजम्पशन है कि मैंने बड़ी वाली को 5 मान लिया, छोटी वाली को मैंने 3 मान लिया centimeters. And now we need to find the area of rectangle. So let me quickly write area here. Now, if we need to calculate area of the rectangle, the formula is, as I told you, in square, the formula was the side times side. But it did not matter much because every side was equal. So you just need to take that number and you need to times it by itself. You need to multiply it by itself. But rectangle में यहाँ पे हमारे पास different sides हैं. तो अगर if we need to find the area of rectangle, it is going to be side times sides. But which sides? It is going to be the larger side times with the smaller side. Let me repeat it. This time it is again going to be side times side. But this is going to be the larger side and the smaller side. Now there is a specific term for the larger side and the smaller side. The larger side of a rectangle is called to be as the length of the rectangle. You must have heard about the length. in our daily life we keep on using this word length, that what is the length of the ruler, what is the length of the pencil box, what is the length of your pencil. So the larger side is known as the length, and the shorter side, which is where I've written 3, and this where I'm highlighting, is known as the breadth or the width, width. So length and the width, or length and the breadth and width are the same. So instead of doing side times side, which we did in the square, we're going to do length times breadth over here, because there are two different lengths which we can clearly find in a rectangle. So आप length को लोगे, which is clearly 5. This is the length. And आप इसको multiply कर दोगे breadth से और width से. That means this is fairly going to be, area is length, so for length I'm using L, and for breadth I'm using B. Okay, so we need to keep this in mind कि मैं length के लिए, मैं पूरा नहीं लिख रही because I'm short of space, I'm using these capital letters that stand for length and B for breadth. So length times breadth करेंगे. Length हमारे पास है 5 centimeters. Okay, let me write centimeters here as well. And multiplication symbol we're going to write as it is, and then we're going to write 3 centimeters. Okay, now can anybody tell me what is 5 times 3? Let's see who is quick at this. So as one of you have just said that 5 times 3 is 15, because if you check the 3 times table or the 5 times table, 5 times 3 is going to be 15. That means I'm going to write 15 over here. And again, what about the units? Can anybody give me the units? You can refer the square to find the units in case of the area. So we have 2 centimeters, centimeter and the centimeter, so together they make centimeter square. So the area of this rectangle, or the only thing which we need to keep in mind is length multiplied with breadth, that gives you the area. So 5 times 3, which is 15, and 15 is the area of the rectangle. इधर साइड टाइम साइड था, मैंने लेंथ ब्रेथ इसलिए नहीं बोला बिकॉज सारी लेंथ ही इक्वल है. आप किसको लेंथ बोलोगे, किसको ब्रेथ बोलोगे? लेंथ ब्रेथ तभी यूज़ करते हैं जब एक साइड बड़ी दिख रही हो, एक साइड छोटी दिख रही हो, बट बेस सेम रहेगा. सो लेंथ टाइम्स ब्रेथ, that is 15 centimeters. Now coming on to the perimeter, and as I've discussed many times before, the perimeter of any figure is going to be the sum of the sides of all, sum of the sides of the figure. तो इसमें कौन सी साइड्स आप देख सकते हो? रेक्टेंगल के केस में what all sides can you see? कौन सी साइड्स आपकी फिगर के आसपास लिखी हुई है? कौन से नंबर्स? It is 5. I'm writing it on the top. Again, it is 5. And then you can see 3. And then again you can see 3. So ये सारे नंबर्स और ये सारी लेंथ्स हमारे पास लिखी हुई हैं, और हमें पता है कि पेरीमीटर होता है सारी लेंथ्स को ऐड करना. तो चाहे वो जो भी फिगर हो, आपके पास इफ़ उसकी लेंथ्स हैं, आप उसको ऐड कर दो तो आपके पास पेरीमीटर निकल आएगा. ओके, सो नाउ let us add and let us find the answer. You all can also take your notebooks and practice there, and let's do it. So what am I doing is, yes, so ये रहा आपका पेरीमीटर. This is 5 added to 5 added to 3 added to 3. Can anybody give me the answer for that? So 5 added to 5 is 10, added to 3 is 13, added to 3 is 16. And the units are of course centimeters. So 16 centimeter is going to be the perimeter of rectangle. Okay, so area is 15 and the perimeter comes out to be 16 centimeters. So this is how we find the perimeter and the area of square and a rectangle, and I have already discussed what is a square, what is a rectangle, and how does it look. And I've also asked you to do this much work, that please find the figures around you which are in a square shape and a rectangular shape, and to find its area and rectangle by measuring them. Now let's move on to the next page. So what can you see over here? Yes, it is a shape with just 3 sides. Side number 1, side number 2, side number 3. So a polygon, again I'm calling it as polygon because it's closed. So a polygon which has 3 sides is called triangle. So triangle is a 3-sided polygon. Now let's come on to the sides of the triangle. I'm going to draw a random triangle by myself here, here. Okay, so I have drawn all of these because I'm calling them as triangle because all of these are closed and have 3 sides. All of these are triangle including this. What can you notice about the sides? आप इनकी sides के बारे में क्या क्या देख सकते हो? हम आते हैं इसकी साइड पे, पहले ट्रायंगल की साइड पे. तो क्या कोई मुझे बताएगा कि इसमें आप लेंथ के बारे में क्या कह सकते हो? लेंथ ऑफ द साइड्स के बारे में आप सब क्या कह सकते हो? हमें अनइक्वल दिख रही है, isn't it? हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि सारी लेंथ्स इक्वल है. ये छोटी लग रही है, ये बड़ी लग रही है, ये भी थोड़ी बड़ी ही लग रही है, तो कोई भी साइड इक्वल नहीं है. अब हम इस पे आते हैं, दिस वन विच आई एम हाईलाइटिंग राइट नाउ विद अ सर्कल. इसमें अगेन ये छोटी है, ये बड़ी है, ये भी बड़ी है. अब अगर हम इस पे आए, ये दो इक्वल लग रही हैं थोड़ी सी, और ये छोटी लग रही है. अगर हम इस पे आए तो आई थिंक ये सारी इक्वल लग रही है. व्हाट डू यू थिंक? मुझे ये सारी इक्वल लग रही हैं, एंड आप सबको? So a triangle is just a 3-sided polygon. We cannot comment on its sides कि उसकी सारी sides equal होती हैं या 2 sides equal होती हैं. नहीं, ट्रायंगल कैसा भी हो सकता है. उसकी सारी साइड्स इक्वल भी हो सकती हैं, उसकी सारी साइड्स डिफरेंट भी हो सकती हैं, उसकी 2 साइड्स इक्वल हो सकती हैं, उसके एंगल्स डिफरेंट हो सकते हैं. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि सारे एंगल्स इक्वल हैं. अगेन इफ़ आई टेल यू अबाउट द एंगल्स इन दिस, उसका एंगल ये रहा. आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू हाउ वी ड्रॉ एन एंगल. उसका एंगल ये रहा. सो कहीं केस में सारे एंगल्स इक्वल होते हैं, कई केसेस में नहीं होते हैं. बिकॉज अगर आप इस वाली फिगर में देखो, द विच आई एम टेकिंग राइट नाउ, एज आई टोल्ड यू, when the lines intersect in this way, this usually forms a 90 degree angle. जबकि अगर आप ये देखो तो ये 90 डिग्री नहीं है, 90 से काफ़ी कम लग रहा है. तो अलग अलग ट्राइंगल्स की अलग अलग स्पेसिफिकेशंस होती हैं. सो वी आर जस्ट गोइंग टू लर्न इन टुडेज क्लास दैट एक ट्राइंगल जो होता है ये क्लोज्ड फिगर होती है. इसकी 3 साइड्स होती हैं. आई एम नॉट कमेंटिंग ऑन द साइड्स लेंथ, एंड इसके एंगल्स के बारे में भी हम कुछ कमेंट नहीं कर सकते. Okay, now again, if we need to find the perimeter of the triangle, I'm directly starting with the perimeter of the triangle because we need to first see what is it. बिकॉज हमें पता है कि हर फिगर का जो पेरीमीटर है वो बहुत ईजी होता है निकालना. एंड क्या कोई मुझे बता सकता है कि इसका पेरीमीटर क्या होगा? बिकॉज वी ऑलरेडी डन टू फिगर्स एंड वी ऑलरेडी फाइंड the perimeter of those two figures with the same formula. So what should be the formula for this one as well? How should we find it? Okay, so here we're going to do this together. Again, perimeter is nothing but sum of the length of all the sides of that figure. Okay, sum of the length of all the sides. Again, to find that हमें assume करना पड़ेगा इसकी sides. So since I'm finding this triangle, the one in the bold one, I'm talking about this triangle, तो मुझे इसकी सारी sides equal लग रही हैं. If you want, you can take a ruler and you can measure them and it will come out to be equal. So let us assume all of these sides are equal, which I think they are definitely. और तो इसलिए equal है तो मैं इनकी sides एक जैसी ले रही हूँ because of course sides equal हैं. I'm not taking different numbers. So I am taking this side as 4 centimeter. Again, this to be 4, this to be 4. The units are centimeters everywhere, so I'm writing it there on the top. So perimeter, as one of you just have said, the perimeter sum of the length of the sides. That means 4 added to the same number 4 added to the same number 4. So what is 4 added to 4? It is 8. Again, added to 4 is 12. That means the perimeter of the triangle is going to be 12 centimeter. But अब एरिया पे मूव करने से पहले हम डिस्कस करते हैं कि हमने ट्रायंगुलर शेप में क्या क्या देखा है. सो क्या किसी को पता है कि हमने ट्रायंगुलर शेप में आज तक क्या क्या देखा है? थिंक ऑफ डिफरेंट थिंग्स जो हमने ट्रायंगुलर शेप में देखी हैं. आई हैव वन एग्जाम्पल. First, I'm giving you a minute to think. So let us suppose I'm sure that you've been to some park which is of a triangular shape. Yes, तो हम किसी पार्क में जाते हैं और कभी कभी वो ट्रायंगुलर शेप में होता है. मेरे घर के पास यूजुअली एक पार्क है. बेसिकली अगर हमें उसका पेरीमीटर निकालना हो एक ट्रायंगुलर पार्क का, तो व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू डू इज़ हम उसकी हर एक साइड को मेजर करेंगे और हम उसको ऐड करके हम उसका पेरीमीटर निकालेंगे. सो पेरीमीटर इज़ जस्ट टू ऐड द लेंथ ऑफ द साइड्स. और हमें ट्रायंगल में हमें बहुत कुछ दिखता है, जैसे हमारे पास पार्क्स होते हैं. पार्क्स ट्रायंगुलर शेप के ही होते हैं. एंड योर होमवर्क फॉर टुडे इज़ टू थिंक फॉर मोर ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो कि आपको ट्रायंगुलर शेप में दिख रहे हों. ठीक है. एंड नाउ we need to come on the area of the triangle. तो area of triangle थोड़ा सा हटके है. उसके लिए हमें पहले कुछ टर्म्स जाननी पड़ेंगी, विच इज़ बेस एंड हाइट. अब बेस ऑफ ट्राइंगल क्या होता है? बेस एंड हाइट ऑफ अ ट्राइंगल. नाउ हम एक ट्राइंगल कंसिडर करते हैं. Okay, now I'm sorry the sides are not that straight because I'm drawing it with the help of a pen tool. So let us consider this to be a triangle which I have just made. इसका बेस होता है ये जहाँ ट्राइंगल खड़ा है. Can you see the tick mark which I'm making? This is the base of the triangle जहाँ पे ट्राइंगल खड़ा है, and this is going to be the height of the triangle. कितना ऊपर जा रहा है. ओके, सो हमें ये दो टर्म्स पता होनी चाहिए. ये ट्राइंगल का एक पार्ट होती है, द बेस ऑन विच द ट्राइंगल इज स्टैंडिंग एंड द हाइट. अगर हम इस केस में बात करें, इन दिस ट्राइंगल द बेस इज दिस जहाँ ट्राइंगल खड़ा है, एंड द हाइट इज गोइंग टू बी द रेड लाइन विच आई एम ड्रॉइंग. You know, from the base to the topmost point is known as the height. ओके, सो हर ट्राइंगल का अपना डिफरेंट बेस होता है, डिफरेंट हाइट होती है. एंड ये जो दो टर्म्स हैं ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है हमें एरिया ऑफ ट्राइंगल फाइंड करने में. सो वी आर गोइंग टू डू द एरिया एंड हाउ टू फाइंड द एरिया ऑफ ट्राइंगल इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. So we are going to come up with different things in the next session. So have a good day. Thanks for